So welcome back to another episode of Am I the Antagonist? And am I the antagonist for trying to control my girlfriend's money? So make sure you subscribe down below with the notifications on, so twice a day DecoyNoise can start fast forwarding your boring things with more live Reddit commentary and stories just like this one right here, because we just gotta hear OP out sometimes. So OP writes, I, 29-year-old male, hate debt. It's nothing but a weight around your ankles to keep you from moving ahead with your life. I was lucky enough to get scholarships for most of college and paid off the loans I did have to get ASAP. I did go ahead and buy a new car for the increased safety features, but only have a few thousand left on that loan because, again, aggressively paying it off. I just bought a house because a mortgage is half what my old apartment rent was, but I plan on being aggressive with this too, and hopefully have it paid off in a fraction of the time. Long story short, I effing hate debt. It makes me very anxious and I physically feel sick. My girlfriend, a 29-year-old female, on the other hand, has a ton of debt. She doesn't really care. She has student loans, her car, and her credit card, and is making them bare minimum payments so she has extra money to play with each month. Because I do love her and could theoretically see myself spending my life with her, I made her a deal. She could live in my house, rent, grocery, and utility free until her debts were paid off. With her salary, it would take about 1.5 years to pay it all off if she put the max amount she could towards them. It would then become our house, and she would be able to help to half the payments so we could be more on equal footing. She accepted this without question, and we even sat down to look over her finances, budget, pay stubs, everything, so we could make a comprehensive plan. Well, the other day her cell phone rang while she was in the shower, so I picked it up. Turns out, it's a debt collector. I confronted her about this when she got out and dressed, since it's been a few months and she should have been able to pay off at least the smallest loan in full, and it turns out she just stopped paying everything. Let everything go into default, since you'll just pay it when we're married. Then I made it very clear that we weren't getting married anytime soon, not until her debt was gone, and she knows my stance on keeping long-term debt. This upset her. She started yelling at me, and I made it very clear that she had three options: follow our deal and pay off the debt, pay me back for the last few months I've been apparently funding her lifestyle, or leave and go stay with her brother. Huffy, she packed a bag and left, saying, "We talk about this later when I calm down." I made it clear there was nothing to talk about, and I'd have her stuff packed by morning. The last few hours, however, her entire family's called, our mutual friends have called, everyone's called to put in their 2 cents on how I was being too controlling with the money. I see it as her being a freeloader, especially since she knows my anxieties about being around large amounts of debt. Parents lost everything in 2008. We were homeless for a year. I refuse to do that again. Am I the antagonist here? And then they have 2 edits. Edit, thanks for the silver, whoever you are, and dang, this blew up. I posted right before I crashed last night, so I'll read and respond to people soon. 2, more gold? Crap, guys, I'm honored. Thank you very much. And the update. I've got some friends coming over after work to help me take the rest of her stuff over to her brother's house. Been a long night full of calls and people yelling at me and a long voicemail of her crying. But after reading what y'all said, this is the right call. I want someone who loves me, not my money. Thanks, y'all, and good luck to everyone out there. Stay safe. So as always, we take the case, we take it to Decoy Court, where I give you my knee-jerk reaction as to what the situation is. I read some top comments, I read the controversial comments, I read your comments down below, and we do that Decoy Deliberation where we figure out who the true antagonist is and then do that fun theoretical punishment for said antagonist. So let's go ahead and just start this off with the idea that what's the only thing that he needs to hear is, you'll just pay it when we're married. That's the only thing he needs to see, because there's nothing wrong with still marrying this person, but just know that you'd be marrying into a life of debt and a life of personally funding someone that can't live within their means. The idea that she just walked out mad at him saying, okay, you need to calm down because you're not agreeing to sponsor me, shows a relationship is contingent on cash flow. That's the only thing. Now, the situation is like, he can't be deterred by the idea that like friends and family are going to come to him like he's the bad guy, because there's no way she's going home and outing herself as an aspiring sugar baby. Like, she's going to have the story so skewed where it's just on her own situation on how he's the bad guy and they're the victim. Like, she's never going to go home and tell mom like, yeah, mom, so I was drowning these baby ducks, right? Like, no, it'll be like, I was fearing for my life, and as I was gasping for oxygen, I could see grandma telling me that I need to live. Like, it was going to be something like that. She's never going to out herself. So good on OP for having his own friend base to reassure him that he's doing the right thing. And also the Redditors here kind of supporting him. So I'm going to go ahead and say, OP, you're not the antagonist for kicking her out when you did, because you're kind of standing your ground and you're saying, I have very, very clear expectations of you and how you're going to handle your debt. I've seen so many, like, friends, acquaintances, coworkers, like, fall into the exclusivity of their significant other's life. Like, all their friends are now their friends too. So everything they hear is practically propaganda in favor of the significant other. So they have nobody in their corner. That being said, is there a decoy defense for the ex-girlfriend? Like, who's in their corner? That's up to you guys. I can't. Earn yourself that decoy coin, the decoy koi coin, in the comment section down below. If you can give her a good defense and let me know why she's in the right. I mean, maybe this is a super skewed situation. Maybe I'll read something in the top comments. But as always, pause the video, take a short break, give me your feedback, and earn that coin. And then we're gonna go over to that top post because that's probably gonna give us some good perspective. So, and then they said the same thing with, it's like, I got down to the "you'll pay it when we're married." Dude, run. She just told you what she sees you as. Oh, and not the antagonist. Adding an edit in response to OP's update. I highly recommend you change your locks if you haven't done so. Which is true. Like, you never want to expect the worst out of people, but breakups sometimes change everything, and you haven't seen a side from this side of somebody, especially now she's trying to, like, drag you down in the eyes of all your friends. So yeah, probably want to change your locks, because at some point in time he was telling her that, like, yeah, this will be your home once you're debt free and you start making payments. So things might be changing, especially when she already said, okay, I'll pay off my debt, and all of a sudden you realize just by chance, by answering a phone call, that they just had no intentions of living by the prior agreement. And the next reply was, exactly, break up while you can unless she miraculously changes her ways. And the next reply was, she likely won't change her ways, which means the only way to not get saddled by her debt is to make it clear that there is no marriage until she is debt-free. After that, I would still be hesitant because the opinion about the debt and money is so drastically different, and it will be a constant source of problems in the marriage. Which is good that he learned that now, as opposed to later on, where it's like, okay, he has a clear understanding of how she sees debt and how she views the OP as just, hey, you're responsible, I'm not responsible, so, I'll go ahead and just let you take care of the adulting in this situation. But let's go ahead and read the next top reply, which is 6 red flag emojis, and they say, run. You offered her a sweetheart deal, and she's treating you like she treats her bank. If her friends and family have an opinion, maybe they can start paying off her debt. Which is always one of those things where it's like, we always say, whenever one of their friends shame you for not doing something, just bounce it back to them. Okay, how about you pick up the slack, which you're not thinking that I'm doing? But that's almost not applicable here, because the idea is they did have like a debt, like a resolution to her debt, and they had plans to get married. So it's not the same thing. One of her friends and family aren't going to step in as the potential husband later on, which the girlfriend thought that was going to be. So yes, I do agree with that sentiment most of the time, but not in this particular situation. But let's go ahead and read a reply to that, which is, oh man, for sure. If this was me, I'd be throwing my entire paychecks towards that debt besides essentials. This girl is nuts. Which everybody has different competing value with debt is and what's not, but it's just like when they're so far off from each other, it's very obvious that they just need to break it off right now. But the next top comment says, not the antagonist. Originally I was gonna say it's a little controlling. However, once she said she stopped paying, claiming you would pay for her debt when you both got married, the game changed. At this point, it's almost like she seems she's using you to fund her irresponsible behavior and lifestyle. I don't think at this point it's best to try to work through it. She's revealed her character, especially with telling you every mutual friend of hers her side to make you seem like the bad guy. Just break it off. And that's the idea, is once they started to weaponize the friendship and weaponize his deal towards her about how they're going to settle their debt and how they're going to figure out how to coexist in a marriage later on, all bets are off. It's over. Like, yeah, throw this fish back, because it's just, it's not about love. It's not about establishing a friendship or a partnership. It's just about like, oh yeah, you're gonna absolve me of my debt. Like, there's plenty of guys that will do that. Let her find that person and let you find someone that's willing to take your sweetheart deal. Like, that would be a sweet thing, just for me to find a girl that would be like, yeah, okay, cool. I see your debt situation. I see your car payments and all this credit cards and everything. So how about I let you live in my household? Don't pay rent. Don't pay your car bills, and just try to figure out how to get ahead on your payments. That would be a great thing. Why would she take that and throw it away? Why would she try to push the limit as to what he's willing to accept? I mean, that's all bad all around. But let's go ahead and read the reply of, even before it got to the part where she stopped paying it, it was not controlling because he offered the deal to her. He didn't impose it on her, and she had the choice, and she willingly took it. Which is the idea that it's not controlling if she was like, oh cool, that is a good deal, I will take that rate. That's not controlling to say like, okay, cool, let me help you out. Like, I hate the idea that you can do somebody a favor and somehow get misconstrued into the bad guy. Like, that's always a bad thing for me. But let's go ahead and read one more top reply, which is, not the antagonist. Wow, yes, you have different attitudes towards money, and honestly, I thought this was headed towards she's not dedicating every spare cent to paying off her debts and you're the antagonist, but no, I'm absolutely gobsmacked. I can't even begin to imagine the thought process behind being handed an offer that generous and deciding, screw that, I'll just stick them with every bill I've ever run up. I'm sorry, that was cruel, greedy, incredibly selfish thing to do. The only good thing here is that you found out how low she will stoop. Yes, you are at the high end of anxiety about debt, and you might need to be ready to try some mutual counseling to establish a workable approach when you're ready to settle down with somebody, but this girl isn't ready to settle down with anyone. Sorry she's been such a user. Sorry too, for the terrible experience in '08. So glad you pulled out of it. And then OP comes back to reply saying, thanks. I was a kid when it happened, so I saw how awful things were for my family and I. I never want that to happen again. And just the idea that there's recommending counseling later on for, like, you know, you have a weird relationship with debt and you need to maybe like be able to accept people that are willing to carry debt. It's like, no, he seems like a very responsible person. The idea that, like, you know, us as Americans and in California is how we just kind of, there's a acceptable level of credit card debt, an acceptable level of debt where you just say, okay, you can make the minimum payments on your car. Like, that's a weird society that we're living in right now, where it's like, hey, it's okay to live beyond your means because we got these credit card companies that are willing to finance it. If anything, this guy should be able to teach us something about how to live within our means and how we should be aggressively paying things out and just not thinking that, hey, it'll be okay, we'll be fine, just keep on pushing it to the next thing. I'll make that minimum payment and buy that new pair of like Yeezys or something like that. I mean, that's just the situation that we're in. So they had a good message behind it, but just the idea where they're saying like, hey, you need to be okay with debt. I mean, if he's gonna be that responsible, let him be that responsible. But like always, top comments are for perspective, controversial comments are for more fun, but maybe we're gonna find something else in here that makes us think in a different way. So the top controversial comment is, I'm so proud of you. Am I the antagonist? You didn't crucify OP for constraining a woman's behavior. You're growing up so fast. And here's the idea, is like, this is a controversial reply, but I get it. It's not contributing to the story. It's not pushing it along. It's just that meta post where it's like, hey, I'm so much higher than this whole story I can see from down below, and I'm giving you an attaboy as if they're like the person that gets to judge us. So I see why that's not like the post that we need to see, but it is true. Most of the time, people are just gonna, you know, get all mad at OP. How dare you tell her how to start your finances? You are controlling. Like, hey, we're not idiots. We read the story. Like, only every now and then you get somebody on the post or even on the Decoy Koi Pond where they read the title and respond to it accordingly and don't even watch the video or read the story itself. It's just this bizarre occurrence where they're just like going post to post to post to try to like lay out their judgment. So I mean, let's go ahead and read another top controversial reply saying, you do come across as slightly controlling in your post. However, it is well intentioned and I think you can adjust your behavior with future relationships. I say future relationships because I truly think that you are not the antagonist, and it's to the degree that you should be ending this relationship. Your girlfriend has showed you loud and clear what she sees you as your future together. Her recklessly spending and not even paying back her debt, using her money despite agreeing to a plan, and you paying for everything for her even though you didn't know she expects that. I don't think this is salvageable, OP. It's because she's willing to set her credit score / rating / profile on fire because laziness and greed. You two could not be on more polar opposites on this crap. Just in case you didn't include those things in the conversation with your girlfriend, next time, make sure your conversation on financial health makes it clear that you want to build a life together, that you will be able to save for money for vacations, big purchases, early retirement, whatever, and that you want to have a check-ins every 2 months to see how things are progressing. It's like your significant other likes to have a chunk of spending money. Make sure you guys compromise on that amount. Don't stifle their lifestyle just to match yours, and don't make them think that they need to do that just to get to the wedding. Also, don't delete any communications with her in the case she tries to say you said you would pay stuff for her. So there is good sentiments to this post right here, but it starts off saying like, hey, you're well-intentioned, but you are controlling. You're being a little bit controlling, but then circles around to say, hey, okay, you're gonna have monthly check-ins on how she's spending her money, and how dare you do that? Just like oftentimes I try to see both perspectives of the situation where I'm like, you know, kind of fence setting, giving my personal input and just, you know, playing both sides of the quarter, but I definitely have one side that I'm more leaning to. I'm just trying to be fair to whoever kind of is the antagonist. But this person right here is full-fledged saying, I'm going to contradict myself over here. The idea that, you know, she is willing to do all these things thinking that he's going to be a bailout, and he's controlling for trying to say, okay, here's your way out of it. If she didn't agree to it, then she's more than entitled to live her life that way, but she did agree to it. So yes, this isn't being controlling for me saying like, hey, I expect you to do X, Y, and Z. If you don't do it and we both agree that you do X, Y, and Z, that makes me controlling because I want to hold you to your obligations. Like, no, like, you agreed to it, so that's what I expect out of you. But somebody got a lot of downvotes, so let's go ahead and see what they wrote. So they said, I'm torn between not the antagonist and everyone sucks here. First off, your girlfriend is nuts. Get rid of her. She's clearly not prepared to handle her money like a responsible adult, and you don't need that in your life. No question that she's the antagonist in this scenario. I'm a little torn about your part of it though, because while you might have good intentions, you were pretty controlling with that bargain you laid out for her, and the idea of getting someone to completely change their lifestyle because you feel yours is superiors is not great. It'd be one thing if you asked for her to help, if she asked you to help to get out of debt, but it sounds like this was your idea and you took her lukewarm agreement. I mean, who isn't turning down free rent as a commitment to completely change herself? Pro tip, if you plan a life with someone contingent on them becoming a completely different person, it'll never end well. Now, they got a lot of downvotes, but they do have a good point right there where, of course, she's going to agree to saying free rent. I will help you own this house later on. We are going to combine finances. The only thing you have to do is pay your debts off aggressively. Hey, that's true. The idea is, of course, she's going to say yes, whether it's genuine commitment or not. She's going to say yes to that thing. And the idea is, just because you feel your lifestyle is superior compared to theirs, yes, subjectively and probably objectively, it is more superior to saying, I'd rather live a life of responsibility as opposed to a life of just spending your money and always carrying debt or whatever. That's probably the better lifestyle that OP has, but just the idea that he gets to sit there and tell them how to live their life, how to aggressively pay off debts and all that situation. Yes, she took advantage of him and was just thinking, oh, he'll be responsible and I don't have to listen to anything he says. But the idea is you can't plan a life with someone contingent on the idea that they're going to become a completely different person. She saw him as the ultimate provider and he was just providing for all her lavish lifestyle and she just took it. He provided for her thinking, okay, this is going to be the big turning point for her. I don't think that he probably could have, reasonably thought that this was going to be a change in her life. Like this was going to make her change her mind about stuff. So honestly, I don't really see this being I don't see this being as a reasonable argument against OP saying, hey, look, you should have tried to change her. Like she agreed to the change. That should have been the thing. That should have been the entire case right there. But I mean, at least we're getting good counter arguments. Because like I said, there was no decoy defense in this scenario. I was not able to stand up for her, but this person managed to do it. They got a lot of downvotes, but I mean, at least we got to see the other side of it. So like I said, if you made it to this far in the video, give me your feedback. Let me know by earning yourself that Decoy coin. But I just want to appreciate everybody making it this far in the video because I do like hanging out with you guys. I like hearing all the feedback, the different stories, people that are close to the story that can give me better insight as to why people are acting the way they do. If you haven't already, please subscribe down below with the notifications on because I'm hearing people are subscribed and they don't even see my videos even though they like watching every single one of them. Go to DecoyNoise.com to give me your feedback or also provide your own Am I the Antagonist story, and hopefully we can do a video on just the Decoy Court only and figure out that sort of community ourselves. But if nothing else, put this on autoplay and watch the next DecoyNoise coming up next.